parents only paid off my sister's student loans after we graduated medical school together. But I had a surprise waiting for them. The rain drummed against the window pane as I sat in my small, dimly lit apartment, staring at the stack of bills on my desk. It was late, too late to be awake, but sleep had become an elusive luxury these days. The weight of everything pressed down on me like a heavy blanket, suffocating yet strangely familiar. Across town, my sister Emily was probably sleeping soundly in her spacious bedroom, free from the gnawing anxiety that kept me up most nights. Our parents had just paid off her student loans, a gift they'd promised her years ago when she decided to pursue medicine. And now, after we both graduated medical school together, it felt surreal to think about how differently our lives were unfolding. Emily and I grew up side by side, inseparable as children but destined for vastly different paths. She was the golden child, the one who always excelled without trying too hard. Straight A's came naturally to her, and people gravitated toward her effortlessly warm personality. Meanwhile, I struggled more than anyone realized. Every achievement required gritted teeth and sleepless nights. Every compliment carried with it the unspoken question, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" Yet despite all this, there was never any real rivalry between us. I loved her fiercely, even if sometimes I envied her ease in life. Our parents' decision to pay off only Emily's loans wasn't entirely unexpected. They'd made no secret of their pride in her accomplishments or their belief that she deserved special treatment because she worked so hard, not realizing that I worked just as hard, albeit less visibly. Still, hearing them announce it over dinner last week stung more than I cared to admit. As they toasted to Emily's success, I forced a smile and clinked my glass along with everyone else, pretending not to feel the sharp pang of betrayal twisting inside me. But tonight, sitting alone in the quiet darkness, I couldn't pretend anymore. My own debt loomed large, over $200,000 worth of loans accumulated during those grueling years of med school. Each month, another bill arrived, reminding me of the mountain I still needed to climb. While Emily celebrated her newfound financial freedom, I faced the daunting reality of paying back what felt like an insurmountable sum on my modest resident salary. And yet, amidst all this bitterness, something stirred within me, a flicker of determination, perhaps even defiance. This wasn't the first time life had handed me lemons, after all. Growing up overshadowed by Emily taught me resilience, even if it also left scars. So instead of wallowing in self-pity, I began plotting my next move. There would be no dramatic confrontations or tearful pleas for fairness. No, revenge wasn't my style. Instead, I resolved to do something far more satisfying, prove them wrong. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, casting long shadows across the room as I pulled myself out of bed. Today marked the beginning of my new plan, a carefully crafted strategy designed to reshape not only my future but also the way others perceived me. First things first, finding additional sources of income. Working double shifts at the hospital wasn't ideal, but it was necessary. Every extra dollar earned brought me closer to freedom, even if it meant sacrificing precious hours of rest. As I dressed for work, memories flooded back of the countless sacrifices I'd already made along this journey. Remembering the endless nights spent studying while Emily breezed through exams reminded me why giving up wasn't an option. Sure, she might have been born with natural talent, but I possessed something equally valuable, sheer willpower. If anything, our contrasting approaches to success highlighted the depth of my character rather than diminishing it. At the hospital, chaos reigned supreme as usual. Patients shuffled in and out of exam rooms, nurses rushed past carrying trays of supplies, and doctors barked orders into their clipboards. Amidst the organized mayhem, I found solace in routine. Here, surrounded by illness and uncertainty, I could focus solely on healing others, a task that grounded me whenever doubt crept in. During lunch break, I scrolled through job listings online, searching for part-time opportunities outside the medical field. Tutoring pre-med students seemed promising. Not only could I share knowledge gained through years of struggle, but it also allowed me to mentor young minds navigating similar challenges. One particular ad caught my eye, an opening for a virtual tutor specializing in MCAT prep courses. Perfect timing, considering how much time I'd spent mastering that dreaded test myself. After submitting my application, I returned to rounds feeling slightly lighter. Progress, however incremental, fueled hope. That evening, exhausted but determined, I drafted emails to several local clinics offering freelance consulting services. With expertise ranging from patient care protocols to administrative efficiency improvements, surely someone would find value in hiring me temporarily. After all, necessity breeds innovation, and desperation often leads to resourcefulness. Weeks turned into months as I juggled multiple responsibilities simultaneously. Between full-time residency duties, tutoring sessions, and occasional consulting gigs, exhaustion became second nature. Friends marveled at my ability to maintain such a demanding schedule without burning out completely. What they didn't understand was that each challenge conquered strengthened my resolve further. Every obstacle overcome served as proof that I could handle whatever came next. Meanwhile, Emily continued thriving under the protective wing of parental support. Her Instagram feed showcased glamorous photo shoots featuring designer outfits and exotic vacations, all courtesy of guilt-free spending power. Occasionally, she'd send me messages asking how I managed to stay motivated despite overwhelming odds. Though tempted to reply sarcastically, "Oh, easy. Just imagine being constantly compared to your perfect sibling." Professionalism prevailed. Instead, I offered generic advice about perseverance and passion, masking true feelings behind polite platitudes. Despite outward appearances suggesting otherwise, cracks began forming beneath Emily's polished exterior. During rare moments of vulnerability, she confided struggles adapting to post-graduation expectations. Pressure mounted daily as patients entrusted their lives to her inexperienced hands, leaving little room for error. Doubts surfaced regarding whether she truly belonged in such a high-stakes profession. Listening intently, I recognized echoes of my own fears mirrored back at me, but amplified tenfold due to lack of preparation. Unlike Emily, whose academic prowess masked underlying insecurities, I approached medicine humbly aware of limitations. Years battling adversity instilled wisdom beyond textbooks, understanding human frailty, embracing imperfection, learning resilience through failure. These lessons shaped not only clinical skills but interpersonal connections vital to effective patient care. Perhaps unconsciously, I envied aspects of Emily's privileged upbringing while simultaneously pitying its shortcomings. One fateful afternoon, fate intervened unexpectedly. A frantic call from administration summoned me to the emergency department, where chaos erupted following a multi-car pileup nearby. Dozens injured required immediate attention, stretching staff thin beyond capacity. Without hesitation, I dove headfirst into action, coordinating triage efforts alongside seasoned colleagues. Hours passed unnoticed as adrenaline propelled us forward, saving lives one heartbeat at a time. When finally emerging from the ER later that night, weary yet exhilarated, praise awaited. Hospital leadership commended exceptional performance under pressure, singling me out specifically for quick thinking and leadership displayed throughout crisis management. News spread rapidly among peers, earning newfound respect previously withheld due to preconceived notions. For once, recognition arrived unsolicited, earned through merit rather than assumption. Encouraged by recent accolades, confidence surged exponentially. Opportunities previously dismissed as unreachable suddenly appeared attainable. Networking events transformed from intimidating social obligations into platforms showcasing achievements proudly. Conversations shifted focus away from comparisons towards celebrating individual strengths uniquely contributing to shared goals. Yet amidst growing acclaim, humility remained steadfast anchor preventing arrogance from taking root. Acknowledging privilege inherent within certain advantages granted others didn't diminish personal victories achieved independently. Rather, acknowledging disparities fostered empathy driving desire bridge gaps separating diverse experiences converging within healthcare community. With momentum building steadily, bold decisions awaited implementation. Foremost priority involved tackling remaining debt, aggressively utilizing increased earnings, strategically allocated monthly payments exceeding minimum requirements, significantly accelerating repayment timeline, projected completion date, advanced dramatically reflecting commitment, prioritizing financial independence above fleeting indulgences, tempting distractions, threatening derail progress, painstakingly cultivated. Thus far. Simultaneously, aspirations expanded beyond mere monetary milestones encompassing broader impact potential leveraging professional platform advocate underserved populations historically marginalized access quality care disproportionately affected systemic inequities perpetuating cycles poverty illness despair generationally entrenched societal structures resistant change requiring persistent effort dismantle. Reconstruct inclusively equitable alternatives benefiting collective humanity. Holistically integrated sustainable manner ensuring lasting transformational outcomes measurable tangible results benefiting generations follow footsteps pioneers paving pathways possibility realization dreams deferred. As the months rolled on, my life began to transform in ways I hadn't anticipated. The accolades from the hospital administration opened doors that had previously seemed impenetrable. Invitations to speak at medical conferences arrived unexpectedly, and soon I found myself standing on stages addressing crowds of peers, mentors, and even strangers who were eager to hear about my journey. Each speech was an opportunity not only to share my story but also to advocate for those whose voices often went unheard: patients struggling under the weight of systemic inequities, students drowning in debt while pursuing careers in medicine, and communities left behind by a healthcare system designed for profit rather than compassion. The more I spoke, the more people listened. My advocacy work became a second job, one fueled by passion rather than obligation. I partnered with local nonprofits focused on providing free clinics to underserved neighborhoods, volunteered my time mentoring aspiring doctors from low-income backgrounds, and lobbied tirelessly for policy changes aimed at reducing student loan burdens for future generations of medical professionals. It wasn't easy juggling all these responsibilities alongside my residency duties and tutoring commitments, but every late night spent drafting proposals or organizing community events felt like another step towards something bigger than myself. Meanwhile, Emily's struggles grew increasingly apparent. While she continued to project an image of effortless success online, our private conversations revealed cracks beneath the surface. She confided in me during one particularly raw phone call how overwhelmed she felt trying to balance patient care with mounting expectations from colleagues and supervisors. "I don't know if I'm cut out for this," she admitted, her voice trembling with vulnerability. For the first time, I saw her not as the golden child everyone adored, but as someone grappling with self-doubt and fear, emotions I knew all too well. Instead of letting bitterness consume me, I chose empathy. After all, we were sisters bound by blood and shared experiences, no matter how different our paths might have been. So I offered what support I could, sharing strategies I developed over years of navigating similar challenges. We began meeting regularly for coffee, where we discuss everything from difficult cases to personal insecurities. These moments brought us closer together, bridging gaps created by years of comparison and competition. But as much as I tried to focus outwardly, on helping others, supporting Emily, and building a career rooted in purpose, I couldn't ignore the simmering resentment toward our parents. Their decision to pay off only Emily's loans still lingered painfully in the back of my mind, coloring every interaction we had. They called occasionally to check in, always asking after Emily first before turning their attention briefly to me. Their questions about my financial situation carried an undertone of judgment, as though they believed my struggles were somehow indicative of failure rather than circumstance. One evening, after yet another exhausting day balancing clinic shifts and advocacy meetings, I finally snapped. A casual comment from my mother during a video call, something along the lines of, "Well, maybe you should have chosen a less expensive specialty," ignited a firestorm within me. Years of pent-up frustration bubbled over as I launched into a heated monologue detailing everything I'd endured: the sleepless nights studying while working part-time jobs, the crushing weight of debt looming over my head, the constant comparisons to Emily that made me feel perpetually inadequate. By the time I finished, tears streamed down my face, and silence hung heavy between us. To their credit, my parents looked genuinely taken aback. My father cleared his throat awkwardly, while my mother reached for tissues, dabbing at her eyes. We didn't realize," she stammered. "We thought you were handling everything so well." "That's because I've had to handle it," I shot back, my voice cracking with emotion. "You never asked. You just assumed I'd figure it out because I always do." The conversation ended abruptly, leaving both sides shaken. But instead of retreating into anger, I decided to channel my energy into action. If my parents refused to see the full picture of my life, then I would show them, and not through words alone. Over the next few weeks, I compiled a detailed report outlining my achievements since graduating medical school, the lives I'd saved, the initiatives I'd spearheaded, the recognition I'd earned. I included testimonials from colleagues and patients alike, painting a vivid portrait of a woman determined to make a difference despite overwhelming odds. When I presented this document to my parents during our next family dinner, the atmosphere was tense. Emily sat quietly beside me, sensing the gravity of the moment. As my father flipped through the pages, his expression shifted from skepticism to surprise to something resembling pride. My mother, meanwhile, dabbed at her eyes again, this time with tears of regret rather than discomfort. I had no idea," my father said finally, his voice thick with emotion. "You've done all this, without any help from us." It wasn't an apology, not exactly, but it was a start. For the first time, I saw glimpses of understanding in their eyes, acknowledgement that perhaps they'd underestimated me. And though it didn't erase the years of feeling overlooked, it gave me hope that reconciliation might be possible. Still, there was one final piece of the puzzle waiting to fall into place, a revelation I'd been keeping close to my chest for months now. During one of my late-night brainstorming sessions, I'd stumbled upon an idea so audacious it bordered on reckless. What if, instead of waiting for external validation or assistance, I took matters into my own hands? Using the connections I'd built through my advocacy work, I pitched a bold proposal to several philanthropic organizations, a scholarship fund specifically designed to alleviate the financial burden faced by minority students pursuing careers in medicine. The response was overwhelming. Within weeks, pledges poured in from donors eager to support such a worthy cause. The scholarship fund quickly gained traction, drawing attention from media outlets and inspiring countless individuals to contribute. And when the official launch event approached, a gala attended by prominent figures in the medical field, I knew it was time to unveil the truth behind its creation. Standing on stage that night, surrounded by supporters and skeptics alike, I took a deep breath and began speaking. I recounted my own journey, the sacrifices, the struggles, the moments of doubt, and explained why creating opportunities for others mattered so deeply to me. Then, with every ounce of courage I possessed, I revealed the name of the scholarship fund, the Resilience Award, dedicated to honoring those who persevere against all odds. As applause erupted around me, I scanned the crowd until my gaze landed on my parents and Emily, seated near the front row. Their expressions mirrored shock, pride, and perhaps even guilt, but most importantly, they reflected awe. In that moment, I realized I'd accomplished something far greater than simply proving them wrong. I'd shown them and myself that resilience isn't just about surviving hardship, it's about transforming pain into purpose, adversity into opportunity, and struggle into strength. Yet even as the celebration unfolded, I knew this chapter of my story was far from over. There were still battles to fight, injustices to address, and dreams yet unfulfilled. But standing there, bathed in the glow of accomplishment and surrounded by people inspired to join my mission, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. Whatever lay ahead, I was ready to face it, not as the overlooked sibling or the perpetual underdog, but as someone who had risen above expectations to carve her own path. And as the lights dimmed and the music swelled, I allowed myself a small smile, knowing that the best was yet to come. As the gala drew to a close, I found myself surrounded by well-wishers, mentors, colleagues, and even strangers who shared stories of their own struggles. Each conversation reinforced the belief that my journey wasn't just personal, it was part of something larger, a ripple effect inspiring others to rise above their circumstances. Emily approached me near the end of the evening, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I'm so proud of you," she said softly, pulling me into a tight embrace. "You've always been stronger than anyone realized, including yourself." Her words caught me off guard, but they carried a weight that settled deep within my chest. For years, I'd measured my worth against hers, never realizing we weren't in competition at all. We were two sides of the same coin, bound together by love and resilience. When our parents finally approached me later that night, their demeanor had shifted entirely. Gone was the dismissive air I'd grown accustomed to. Instead, they stood before me humbled and reflective. My mother reached out hesitantly, taking my hand in hers. "We're sorry," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We didn't see you, not truly. But we do now." It wasn't perfect closure, but it was enough. Enough to begin healing old wounds, enough to rebuild trust, and enough to remind me that forgiveness isn't about forgetting, it's about moving forward. In the weeks that followed, life began falling into place in ways I couldn't have predicted. The scholarship fund flourished, supporting dozens of students eager to make a difference. My advocacy work gained national attention, opening doors to new opportunities. And though the road ahead remained challenging, I faced it with renewed purpose and clarity. One evening, as I sat on my apartment balcony watching the sunset, I reflected on how far I'd come. The weight of debt still lingered, but it no longer felt suffocating. It was a reminder of battles fought and won. Emily called that night, her tone lighter than usual. "Guess what?" she said excitedly. "I applied to volunteer at one of your free clinics next month." A laugh bubbled up from my chest, warm and genuine. "About time," I teased. "I'll put you to work." As we laughed together, I realized something profound. This wasn't just my victory, it was ours. Together, we were rewriting our story, not as rivals or opposites, but as partners united by shared dreams and newfound understanding. And as the stars emerged one by one in the twilight sky, I allowed myself to dream bigger than ever before. Whatever challenges lay ahead, I knew I wouldn't face them alone. With family beside me and purpose guiding my steps, I stepped boldly into the future, a future defined not by limitations, but by limitless possibility.